Let's experiment some more with this little North American Super Companion, North American Arms Super Companion, which is the Magnum frame size cap and ball 22 revolver. And one of the things that I like about this is even if you can't find ammo for, you can't find rimfire ammo or whatever, you can come up with a way to feed this. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate today. Now, I've made a video before of using plastic cap gun caps in this little revolver, and I'm usually just doing it one shot at a time because I feel like the plastic caps might increase the danger or likelihood of having a chain fire. So anyway, with the plastic caps I've used in the past, I've had to put a small priming charge of 4F black powder into the nipple to get it to fire. And so I just got this new brand, or it's new to me, brand of plastic cap gun caps, and they're hot. They're made in China, and it's 864 shots for $15 with free shipping. So you can't beat that. I mean, that you could beat that probably, but for as well as these things are working, you really can't beat it. You can certainly beat it if you have a cap maker and you buy the paper roll caps, but it's a lot more trouble too. But I have already tested this with one shot, and I did not use a priming charge, and it worked. There was no hang fire or anything. I shot this can with it, and as you can see, it went all the way through. So, like I said, you can get plastic cap gun caps cheaper than this, but 864 of them for $15, and not even having to use a priming charge, assuming that, you know, continues to be the case, then that's cheap. And I'm using Graf & Sons brand 4F black powder, which I believe is made by Wayno in Germany, and that's pretty cheap. It's like $20 a pound maybe if you buy it online. And yes, there's a hazmat charge, but it's like maybe $26 or something like that. So if you buy 4 or 5 pounds, you have to buy 4 pounds minimum anyway to buy it online. That's, you know, a Graf's rule. But if you buy 4 or 5 pounds of it, then you know, that kind of, it completely offsets having to pay a hazmat fee, because you're not having to run around all over town and try to find somebody that has black powder, assuming that you can even find somebody in your area that carries black powder. And from what I've seen, it's difficult to find anybody that carries it, and if you do, it's generally going to be over $30 a pound. So paying $20 a pound for this, buying 5 pounds of it, and paying a $26 or whatever it is hazmat fee is not a big deal. So it's worth it. And that's pretty cheap. Okay, now this dipper came with the pistol, and it's a Lee dipper. You know, I've got some sets of these things, and I use them for not only black powder but also smokeless powder reloading, cartridge reloading. And this is a 0.3 cc cubic centimeter, and I checked it, and that throws right at 4.5 grains of this 4F black powder. And with the one test shot that I've tried with this, I went a little bit more than that, because I put 1 scoop in there, and I saw that I was going to have more room, that I had more room to seat the bullet. So I added a little bit more. And on this shot, I've added yet more. And we're going to go out there and test it in a minute. But the one shot I've already done made a pretty good bang. And like I said, full penetration of that steel can. So that's not bad. It felt like it had quite a bit of power. And I've decided, you know, I know some people shoot smokeless powder in these, and I've done it before myself. But I've decided that optimizing the black powder loads is a better way to go. So enough said about that. Now on to the bullet that I used. I forgot to bring something else in here. Okay. Now these revolvers come with bullets, and 30 grain bullets, and you can buy more from the company, but they're not terribly expensive, but I prefer to be able to roll my own. So this is the 22 LR reloader, name of the company, 22 LR reloader. This is their 22 long rifle loading tool, and it consists of, it's really just a bullet mold with a crimping chamber. And so as you can see, it's got 2 cavities, for one each for 2 different bullet designs. And this one is about, the big one is about 38.5 grains, and that one is for full power loads in the 22 long rifle. And the smaller one is like a CB cap type bullet, and it's intended to be loaded over a primer charge only, and it's 22 grains. So I tried that one, and that's the one that penetrated through the can all the way. You can see, there it is. It's small, but it actually leaves more space inside the cylinder than the factory North American Arms bullet does. And of course it's lighter, you know, but I think in this case, being able to put more powder in and get higher velocity out of it is probably a good thing. Normally I like heavier bullets, but you know, you reach a point where the velocity can be too low to really do very much. And 22 grains, I think, moving at a guess 700 feet per second, maybe 800, is probably going to do a better job than 29 grains or 30 grains moving at 350 or 400 feet per second. So anyway, it worked, and it allowed me more powder space. And in fact, with like I was saying, I used a dip and then a little bit more. So that was probably, I'm going to say, one dip is 4.5 grains. I weighed it, and so I was probably using about 5.5 grains before. And on this one now, I used 1.5 scoops. So that's probably going to be about 6, maybe a little over 6 grains. So it might even give me more of a bang. And I got to say, at 22 grains for this, man, you can get a lot. You can cast a lot of bullets out of a pound of lead. So, one thing I did want to touch on real quick before anybody gets confused with, I said I weighed this 4.5 grains. Before anybody gets confused about volume versus weight grains, there's no such thing. A lot of people are confused about that, but Hodgson invented that term when they invented Pyrex. Pyrex, of course, was the first commercial black powder substitute. And the reason they came up with volume grains is because it's not, Pyrex does not weigh the same as black powder. They could make it weigh the same per volume of black powder, or they could make it, they could, let me restate that. They could make it weigh the same per power as black powder, or they could make it occupy the same volume per power as black powder, and they elected to go with volume measurement because most people weigh black powder with, they don't weigh it. They use a scoop or a powder measure or whatever that's pre-calibrated. Most people that shoot black powder don't even have a scale that will weigh grains. So they just go by what it said, what the advertised charge weight is on the measure that they're using. And that's fine. You use that with Pyrex and it comes out to the same, even though it doesn't weigh the same. So that's the only reason that the term volume grains or grains by volume even exists, because black powder, commercially produced black powder for black powder guns pretty much weighs the same, which is 1 cc is right around 15 grains, give or take. And the substitutes don't weigh the same as black powder. But anyway, that whole thing, 40 grains by volume of black powder is 40 grains by weight of black powder. It's that simple. So anyway, having said that, I know some people are going to disagree with that, but it's a fact. I've been shooting black powder for a long time, and that's the fact of the matter. So anyway, with that, let's go out there and test this load. Okay, that last shot worked perfectly. Blew a much bigger hole all the way through. Let's see, here was the first one. And it went all the way through, but it kind of slipped through. This one made a bigger hole. But unfortunately, my camera cut off and did not capture it. So, we're going to try again. And make sure it's still recording. Alright, now, one thing I did differently this time is I went ahead and loaded 2 shots, because this being a 5-shot cylinder, when it fires, the next chamber is going to be where I don't think it would impact the frame if it did double fire or chain fire. So we're going to try that. And the other thing I did is I put a little bit of bullet lube in the end of the chamber, so maybe that'll help as well. So the good thing about it is then that will mean that will make 4 shots that I've attempted, or that I've fired, and without a priming charge on any of them. So if all of these work, that'll be good. And especially if I don't have a chain fire. So let's go ahead and try it. See if I'm in the viewfinder. Yep. Well, okay, that one did not fire. Alright, try another one. That one did not fire. Okay, well, alright. I'll recap those. And I guess I'll go ahead and put a primer charge in these in this time, just to make sure they're fire. But or maybe not, I don't know. It's too bad, man. I was hoping that was going to be 100% reliable, but it was not. Still some fun plinking on the Chief anyway. Okay, let's try it again. I put a priming charge in each of those two chambers, or each of those two nipples. So, since I've got two chambers loaded, who knows? I would not be surprised if I get a chain fire now. But we'll see. Here goes nothing. Okay, no chain fire. This one, I think I got too much powder in, too much of a priming charge in it. It only takes a tiny bit, but it worked too. And they were both extremely powerful. They actually kicked a little bit. So that's a good load. That'll be a really good load with some regular caps. I was glad to see that it did not chain fire. We're ventilating that cam pretty well. That definitely felt like at least the power of a hot 22 long rifle, like maybe a Stinger or something like that. I'm pleased. There's no need to run smokeless powder to get good power out of it when you load it like this. That's less than 5 cents per shot. Of course, if I'm going to be carrying it like that, yes, I'll use regular caps, or at least some of my homemade metal caps. But still, this is great for plinking.